Hi, I am making these videos about the Zebra Swallowtail, which disappeared from Pittsburgh approximately 100 years ago, and my efforts to restore it, which includes talking about various watersheds in the Pittsburgh area. Oh, thank you, car going by. This time I'm going to be talking about Chartiers Creek. Chartiers Creek is a waterway that goes directly to Pittsburgh and also goes directly to where Zebra Swallowtail still exists. I forgot to mention that the host plant for the zebra swallowtail is a pawpaw tree. So now that we know that, let's talk about Chartiers Creek. Chartiers Creek starts in Washington County, way the heck out there in the middle of, along Route, what's that, 8? Oh, 19? I don't know. I can't count. But it follows there, and what I'm showing you is how I typically will follow along. This is at 2x speed, but what you can see is that the creek comes along. It tends to meander, even where they've denuded it, but in some places, here's the first golf course. In some spaces where they've denuded it, they've straightened it out for their convenience, which is not really great for riparian areas, including all the creatures that live on it. And so I'm kind of showing a brief moment where I got a little bit off track. I couldn't figure out where to go because the map is not quite as well labeled in regards to waterways as I think it should be. It's geared towards the road, but here I am just following along in Washington County. And in Washington County we actually have a report of the zebra swallowtail there. It's not on the creek proper as far as I can tell, but I think I'll insert a picture of the swallowtail from the report in here in the first place that I can actually recognize. But as you can see, it meanders. In some places it's forested, in some places it's not. It tends to parallel various roads. At this point, again, it's what was that, 18, whatever that road was called. But then eventually it parallels Interstate 79. And on 79, the activity of building that road, I think, was very destructive to the habitat of the zebra swallowtail. And most of that is kind of north of Washington, PA. And based on reports I've heard, I think that the zebra swallowtail used to be a bit more common in that area before the interstate was built, but also before extensive strip mining was going on. Okay, I think this here might be a good place to stop and insert the thing. There's a Royal King. I'm going to zoom in on iNaturalist to show you where the actual sighting was. There's a little red flag in there that's in the Giant Eagle parking lot. I'm making this pretty brief, but anyway, we're going back to the Royal King. And next we're going to show the actual photograph of the zebra swallowtail. See? They didn't get very close. It's hard to. And now we continue on the road, or the creek, as it were. So, we're just going down there, following 79. It's time to drop the name of the Washington County Watershed Alliance. I like to go to places and see everything, and one great way to do that is to do trash pickups for the various organizations in the watershed. And here we stopped at Catfish Creek, which I'm going to zoom in on shortly. See Catfish Creek. It's pretty short. There was a bunch of trash. It's not the dirtiest, but it's not the cleanest either. Anyway, it was my pleasure to volunteer to pick up tires and I don't know, the usual stuff. And we're just going along here, kind of more in Washington, PA proper, I think, kind of, more or less. I just want to note that in the wooded areas, there are some pawpaws growing that I don't know about yet, because I haven't looked at it. So actually, if you live in the area, maybe you can help me out. I bet you there's some in there where it's nice and windy. The thing about it is that pawpaws grow in areas that are kind of like in the nooks and crannies. Those are the remnant pawpaws that remain. I don't know if I said yet or not, but pawpaws are what's known as an anachronistic organism, which means that if they are removed from an area, they're not going to come back because the manner in which they dispersed is an anachronism, and that actually is reflective of the fact that what dispersed them were various megafauna. I'm not sure exactly who was doing it, maybe mastodons. I'm starting to think more like giant ground sloths lately, but it's kind of hard to tell. At any rate, through these wooded areas, there are some pawpaws. If you've got hip waders, you can do it. Now right here is a really toxic thing. I believe it's nuclear. It's not really labeled here. Interesting. Chartiers has a number of places that are pretty damn toxic. I can't remember where the other one is. There also was some kind of burial mound there. I'm not sure where exactly that was either. But here we are, we're just going along, and there's a smidgen of a golf course. Not too much, not too damaging. And it's just going along. Here's one of the coolest things that I saw. Heron rookeries. There were 2 of them. And here's me, right there, pulling boats up the creek. So this is next to a very patriotic housing development, which I don't really approve of, but I shouldn't be so judgy. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Oh right, and there we are next to that lake, which is it's okay. I've boated there. All right, now we're gonna reach some more golf courses. Whoa. Valley Brook Country Club paid a $37,500 fine when they spilled a fungicide in the creek, killing thousands of fish. We are here on Valley Brook Country Club, which abuts Chartiers Creek. And you can't see it, but down a little ways there actually is a dam where the people ride their golf carts over it. And we actually floated down here on kayaks and had to get out and portage them briefly, and then bring them back over. It's kind of insane that exists. But the reason why I'm talking about Valley Brook Country Club is because last year they spilled a bunch of fungicide into this creek and killed thousands of fish. And they did pay a fine of $37,500 that just was settled recently. But I don't think that's good enough. When you look at the way this is, and if you look over here, I mean, there should be more of a riparian barrier, or let's see, what do you call that? A riparian boundary?
Buffer.
What?
Buffer.
Buffer, yes, thank you. There should be a riparian buffer zone, and it should be like, I'm saying like 6 feet here, tops. It should be as tall as the tallest tree. If you look at the sycamore here, that's, I don't know, at least 50 feet, could be 100 feet. So like these sand traps here or whatever, they honestly shouldn't exist. And that ridiculous dam that we had at Portage over shouldn't exist because the fish should be able to swim up the stream all the way. Anyway, that's me going off on my soapbox. Just down the way, just around the bend, it does this huge oxbow, and if you look at Google Maps, then this golf course is all in it, and it's all like, you know, shaved green. But just around the bend there are some remnant pawpaws. They don't seem to bear fruit, but they're in the vicinity, and I imagine that there may have been more here. I mean, there's been a lot of activities on this creek. Yep, there it is. Now here's the oxbow with a little thing of the golf cart, and here is a news excerct.
How
Country Club facing serious fines after the state DEP determined it was responsible for a massive fish kill on Chartiers Creek.
Russ Cadati has more on the penalties laid down by the state.
Take a look at Chartiers Creek right over here. It's very picturesque. It's flowing slowly, but according to the DEP, in July of 2021, Valley Brook Country Club released illegal chemicals into the waterway, killing thousands of fish.
Valley Brook, F you. All right, moving along. Downstream of Valley Brook are at least 3 pawpaw patches. There's a couple areas I wasn't able to survey, but given how disturbed they are, it's highly unlikely that there's pawpaws on them. But, you know, there's stuff going on. Boyce Mayview has some, and as far as I know, none of them fruit, or at least they haven't in the time that I've observed them. And, okay, there we got Wingfield Pines. The Allegheny Land Trust is doing some cool stuff to clean up that, and they may have planted pawpaws there, maybe not. Okay, there's pawpaws at Chartiers Park, and I don't think there's any others. It gets pretty weird downstream. You'll see a number of low dams. Like there's some stuff that I hadn't noticed before. Maybe, oh, there's one. Yeah, you don't want to go over that. That's a bad deal. Okay, yeah, here's a bunch of weird series of low dams. You can see how they're at regular intervals. Not good boating. Fortunately, because of the level of the water, you're generally speaking not going to drown, but it's not great for boating. I'm not quite sure why that. Okay, and there's a couple spots that come in that are a little polluted, and yeah, like this here. I don't know if there's a name to that one. Oh, it's Scrubgrass Run. Clearly, there's some kind of something going on there. I could look it up, but you know, this is pretty long, but you get the idea that Chartiers Creek has had a lot of insults. And let's see, there's one other waterway I'd like to draw attention to that is Robinson Run. Yep, Robinson Run. It's actually a pretty long tributary, and I intend to do a video on it because, hey, guess what? There's some pawpaws growing on it. It goes all the way past McDonald up to Midway is about where it begins. And anyway, I think it's an interesting waterway. There's a lot of different activities. Oh, one more low dam. And somewhere here is where we put in when we did a cleanup with Allegheny Cleanways. That's something they do every year. We only did it once. And there's a couple aspects of the creek that I couldn't see that well when I went through that part. Like there's a wing dam, which is another interesting thing to encounter when you're on a boat. And here's another polluted thing, Whiskey Run. It's got some weird orange stuff coming in. Yeah, something going on there. And once you get down here, it gets kind of sewagey. I'm not quite sure exactly where that starts. Actually, I think it might be a little bit downstream of, what's it called? Carnegie or something like that. I'm not sure exactly where, but Chartiers Creek is one of the creeks that seems to actually be cleaner when there's a heavy rain, whereas others are dirtier. Especially at the mouth where it meets the Ohio, and it meets the Ohio right around, oh, okay, that's where we would launch at Allegheny Cleanways. It's actually a really nice float. If you want to do something fun, go on a trash pickup with them. Get your kayak or whatever. And I mean, the water can be a little low, but they do it in the spring when the waters are up, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, you'll pick up lots of tires and meet some very strong, cool folks, and yeah. But normally, I'd say you can't go more than a mile upstream during most of the season, and the lower the water is, the stinkier it is, in my experience. I've only kind of done it twice. Okay, I think we're really, 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 really close to the river. And I also decided to zoom in on something that's a little bit downstream of Chartiers, but certainly associated with it. And that is, okay, we're on the Ohio. that is the, okay, there's Bruneau Island, which is another, okay, there's the point, just so you get perspective, right? A little bit downstream, you got the mound, the, whatchamacallit, yeah, historical burial mound. Here we go, the end of the video. Zebra swallowtails, extirpated, can be brought back. Please help. All right? Thank you. Bye.